This tutorial will look at using the Read and Write for Google extension with digital text. First of all, in order to use the Read and Write for Google extension, you need to be using Google Chrome, be signed into your Google account, as well as be signed into Google Chrome. When you're in Google Chrome, you can check to see if you're signed in by looking up in the top corner and checking to see that it says your name. If it says sign in, simply click on sign in and you sign in using your GSacred Google account. If it says somebody else's name, simply click on the name and you'll be prompted to switch person where you can sign in. Secondly, you're going to need to have a copy of the digital textbook in your Google Drive. Susan Zettner or myself, Carla Holt, can provide you with a link to the folder where you can share these textbooks with students who have IPPs stating that they require a digital textbook. Once you have the digital textbooks in your Google Drive folder, you'll need to share these with your students. I recommend sharing them as view only, and then students are forced to make a copy of the textbooks. This ensures that each student is working on their own copy of the textbook. Here I have a textbook here in my Google Drive. I'm going to go up to these little dots where it says More Actions, and I'm going to go make a copy. I could also control click or right click on it to make a copy as well. So as soon as the copy is created, I'm going to double click on it to open it up. Now this is a copy of a digital textbook. It is in a PDF format uploaded to Google Drive, but it is a readable PDF. So this will work with any readable PDF. PDFs that you create from your photocopier are not by default readable. We can use the desktop version of Read and Write to convert it, but if you have questions about that, please contact Susan or myself. So right now, I'm kind of in a preview mode. So by default, any PDFs in your Google Drive open up in a preview mode. But right up here, I have an option that says Open With. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click on Read and Write for Google. So what it does is it opens up a new tab. It says Read and Write for Google at the moment, and it's going to open up my digital textbooks here. So here is my digital textbook, and you can see I've just got some basic controls to change the pages forward, back. I can zoom in, zoom out. So those are the few basic ones, and then I have some extra controls which are my Read and Write for Google tools. So I'm just going to scroll a few pages ahead so that we can read this page. So here in Read and Write for Google, just like when we're using it with our Google Docs or in the Chrome browser, if you hover over any of the tools, it will tell you what that tool does. So the click to speak is one of the most common ones. So if I have that selected, I can simply click where I want it to start speaking. My text will be read aloud. So you'll notice while that is selected, that button is pink. I can deselect that in order to be able to use some of the other tools. So we'll have a quick look at a few of the other tools that are available. One of the nice features is the ability to create annotations in the textbook. So there's two types of annotations. Using the text tool is one of them, and also the pin annotations. So the text tool, when you click on that, you can just click anywhere on the page and it gives you a small text box, and you can start to type in your notes. So this can work really well for students who need to perhaps answer questions right inside the textbook. And you'll notice here there is a little speaker icon. We can click on that so that your notes can be read aloud also. I can also put in, if I want to accept this annotation, I can click the check mark. The other type of annotation is sort of a pin, which is kind of a hidden note, and then you click on the pin to reveal it. So I'll just click on that tool. And so you'll notice I have this red pin anywhere here. And if I wanted to click right on this, in these ones, I'm limited to a maximum of 500 characters. Here I could just say, granite, and I can click OK. So now my annotation is there. If I click on the X, all I see now is the little red pin. And anytime I want to reveal the annotation, I click on the pin and I click on the X to minimize it. Again, there is a trash can, and likewise with the other type of annotations, there's a little red X if you want to completely delete. So these annotations are going to get saved to your digital textbook. That'll be saved in your Google account. So we'll next look at the highlighting tools. So with the highlighting tools, you can do a number of things such as highlight text, collect your highlights, as well as highlight individual words to create vocabulary lists. So what I'm going to do is highlight a bit of material or a bit of information that I think is important. So I'm just going to highlight this. And after I've selected that with my text, a little pop-up window appears. So I can highlight this in whatever color I like. So I'm going to choose that. And then I'll go and I'll also look at highlighting a different piece of information. So perhaps here I will highlight this, and you'll notice how the floating tools appear again. So I'll highlight this in a different color. Perhaps I'll just highlight this as well. And you can continue to highlight. When you have your highlight, you'll notice up in the toolbar is this tool with the colored arrows that will collect all your highlights and put them into a Google Doc. So if I click on that, so after I've clicked Collect Highlights, this pop-up window appears. I can click in here in document name and give this a new name. I can choose how to sort the highlights by color or position and any of the colors I want to collect. And then I'll click OK. And what will happen is a new Google Doc with my highlights will appear. And you can see here I have options now to open that Google Doc or to close it. So if I open it, this minerals one, it shows me the link of exactly where I've got this from, so from the digital textbook, and it just has my jot notes or my highlights that I could use as study skills. This document is automatically saved into my Google Drive. I'm just going to close that and come back to our digital textbook. So now in order to clear the highlights, but if I didn't want to clear them and I exited this, they would still be saved anytime I'd open this back up in Read and Write for Google. I'm just going to clear it though for our next demonstration. So we'll next look at the highlighting tools, but use those to create a vocabulary list. So perhaps here I want to just highlight the word luster. So I will highlight that. And then again, I'll go and choose another word. So I'm just choosing individual words that would be important. And again, I can highlight them in any colors. And now once I've highlighted these words, I can click on this tool up here in the toolbar, the vocabulary lookup. Click on that and a pop-up window appears. And again, I get prompted, do I want to open the Google Doc or just close this window? So if I open up the Google Doc, this vocabulary list is going to be saved into my Google account, and I could simply click on the default name to give it a new name. So I'm just going to close that window, and again I could clear all highlights now. Last but not least, a couple other features that you may notice here. When you highlight a word, you also have access to the picture dictionary or just the normal dictionary. So if I open up the picture dictionary, or I highlight a word and click on the picture dictionary, it will bring that up. So great for a little bit of additional comprehension support. So this tutorial has looked at using some of the features of Read and Write for Google when reading digital textbooks.